Hello friends, Jennifer Pearson here, Thistle Gypsy, putting the Tarot of the Southwest Sacred Tribes. It's the morning and can't speak terribly well, and I felt a need for just a general spread, just a general check-in, and it's like, well, this is a great time to pull out the deck of the month. And one of the spreads that I like to do as a check-in spread is what I call the Chinese system of elements, based on exactly that and feng shui, of which I only have a cursory knowledge, so anybody is free to correct it, criticize it, etc. down in the comments if they like, hopefully with a spirit of learning or teaching me. But regardless of what I call it, in it, I like it. I like how it works. That's what inspired it. So, center, we have Earth. And this is interesting because we have the King of Cups. So, center, we have Earth. And the Earth is what shows up, is either steady or shows up on a regular basis. And with the King of Cups here, I think this is my feelings. And perhaps even a need to get a grip on my feelings. So we'll see. I could see this being represented in the reverse. You know, when he's healthy, he's in the upright, and he can actually be in the midst of some pretty tumultuous goings-ons, and he's stable. Recently, that has not been the case with me. I've had depression and things like that. Thankfully, rising above a more critical level at this point. But am I truly at this point? That would be lovely. But I don't know if that's the case. Certainly I have stabilized, but I don't know that I trust that stability yet. I do trust that I will eventually get back to stability, but I'm not sure that I'm there yet. So it's interesting. King of Cups doesn't come up for me all that often, and Queen of Cups will come up more regularly, and more than either of those, I get the Queen of Wands. So, and sometimes the Queen of Pentacles, but probably on about the same as the Queen of Cups. So interesting that he showed up today. So next position is going to be fire. Fire is something that, not unlike the association with the tarot, is something that comes in quickly and dies down just as fast. So something, and it can be explosive, but it rushes in and then it's gone. But as we know, with fire in general, it can be a regenerative. That quick burn through can completely, trigger regeneration in nature. So the Judgment card, which looks like this in this deck. So when I looked at that and all of the things that she's dealing with there, so this is dependable energy. This is not dependable energy. But when I was looking at it, initially I thought, oh, that's like the need to declutter or something like that. But that doesn't quite fit the spirit of this. So this is repeating. I would assume that decluttering I would need to repeat unless I were to hire somebody to do it or something. And certainly I'm not going to do that right now during COVID-19. So this is representing something, and this is kind of where I'm at right now. I'm just noticing too, she has a sun. Do you see that sun in the kind of in her solar plexus area there? Actually, I do know what this is now that I look at some of the directions of are these little things leaving, and some of them are coming in. And one thing I've been thinking of doing recently is listing. You know, I have these, I've kind of, you know, so I've been doing journeying, shamanic journeying and energy work that kind of depends on some of the same things like power animals for me to be able to kind of relate to the energy centers and stuff. And but I've had a cavalier aspect in the sense that I'm not, you know, I'm lucky in that a lot of power animals will come forward for me, but I'm not spending a lot of time with each one. And so I recently was thinking, you know what, and I've got others, I've got some ancestors that have shown up in readings, and other, you know, there's the lava mama, there's the lion queen that I haven't talked about in a long time. That sounds so ridiculous. And then there was another person that showed up early in my workings with Dolphin, and they, I thought, you know what, I need to make a list. I need to make a list of my shamanic, otherworldly allies, because I'm starting to the message is finally coming through that I need to really start requesting help from this world. It's not just for entertainment purposes or for, you know, other, you know, just, you know, I'm a Gemini rising, just the fascination is, you know, I enjoy being fascinated by new things. So I need to get more down to earth with it, more serious with it, and make a list of my allies. And so that's what this is making. And it is looking in the past, looking back, saying, hello there. Are you still there? Have I completely offended you by not, you know, kind of having one episode and then, you know, not really connecting, you know? So I think that's what that is. And that's something that, again, you know, if I'm writing it down, if I'm kind of making a catalog, if I'm kind of assuming, it's something that's going to happen. And then eventually will filter down and be, you know, with the individuals I'll work with. The collecting of them is in the sense of writing them down, knowing what my resources are, the gathering of the resources. That's a quick thing to do. Let's see if I actually do it. This is certainly a reminder, I think, in that regard. And who knows, maybe I'll have some more dramatic experience with either the shamanism or the energy work, and that might also be what this is referring to. But again, the fire element would be kind of on the dramatic in, done, out kind of thing. All right, water. The Four of Cups. So, and it's interesting here because it looks like he's doing something or holding something in his hands. And this is one of the ones that has plants in it. So water is, water seeps down through the earth and is kind of there as a reserve, the water table. So this can be like a hidden resource that's at your disposal. And I'm just trying to, it's like, how is the Four of Cups? Well, I could see that. To me, this is the reason that the person can either take or leave this other thing that's coming in is because he has enough. He has what he needs, and he's thinking about it, much like the person in the Seven of Pentacles. He's looking at it. Much of the time, the person who's looking at their cups is not very happy, is dissatisfied. This person, to me, is asking, do I want more of this? But at the same time, he has enough. It's, and I can, and it might be a level of judgment that's useful because I'm really needing to do that right now that I'm talking through it. Especially when it comes to like heart things. It's like I'm letting go of at least one dog, and I need to be careful about not thinking that I need to fill that void. And I'm feeling pretty strongly like I've set a rule for myself that from here on out, if I ever get another dog, because I have a relatively young dog that's a terrier, and she could live another 10 years, and which would make me 67, and huge question mark whether I need any. I mean, God knows what state of mind and what state I will be in at the age of 67. So it's like no more rescuing. I have enough. And really, when I have 4 dogs, and so when I let one go, I will have 3. And I have an older dog who is showing she's been super spry and has lasted in her gray-faced old age longer than I expected, but she is showing a little slowing down recently. Not to the extent I've taken her to the vet, but it's kind of put a question mark in my mind there. Um, and there are all kinds of other things in my life where I'm having to stop and say, this is how much I can take, and barely. So I need to be really judgmental about anything else that comes in. I need to protect that sense of overwhelm. I need to protect. And I have pretty much of anything in my life right now, with the exception of cold cash. Um, and of course, relationships are kind of all across the board on hold in terms of in-person communication. But otherwise, I pretty much have what I need, even maybe a little bit more than what I need. And so that, I think this is serving as a reminder of that. So what's in reserve? If anything, I have a little bit more than what I need. So to just kind of keep that's something functioning in the background. It's something functioning in the background that I just need to stay aware of. So growing. What is growing, or what would bring me growth? 6 of Swords. A pretty traditional image of the 6 of Swords. And I can see this. It's becoming clearer to me that I am going to be, that it might be time in this particular house to start thinking about how I'm going to exit it, and what that's going to look like. It's not the sort of thing where I'm moving tomorrow, but there's a growing understanding of the extent to which I need to do that. And so I need to be taking some steps, um, at least in terms of planning. This could also refer to, because this card has come up for a question that I did. What was it? Something about do I need shamanic training? Do I need to pay the money to do the shamanic training? And I believe this card came up for that. I'm still not feeling terribly committed to doing that, that's the right thing, the right way for me to expend resources. I'm not going to rush right out and do it because I got a Six of Swords here, because I can see the bigger picture issue that I already mentioned. But that also comes to mind, to seek out some, and you could even say that, see this as taking problems, the various health issues, to that island, to that calmer water elsewhere. So, so that's another possibility in terms of growth. An avenue for growth is seeking out other solutions for my boatload, my boatload of problems. So to increasingly do that, and on a very, very practical level, I need to do that in terms of either getting COBRA or applying for short-term, to get me through the end of the year, health insurance, talking to somebody about disability and what the likelihood of my getting that would be, etc. So, yeah, this is things that are growing and expanding. So that's where my attention does need to be, that's for sure. So this last position is consolidation, some things that are coming together, consolidating, solidifying, becoming, in a sense, more real, and more immobile, because this is the position of metal, which is dense and hard to move and things like that. And here I have, of all things, the Knight of Cups, which is super curious, actually. I got the Tower on the bottom. I don't usually read the bottom, so that has only cursory meaning. I don't know what that means, except that I'm going through a lot of changes right now, so that might be one of those cards that's just sort of indicating to me, the deck saying, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're going through. This is my advice for that. Gosh, the Knight of Cups. So one of the ways this is interesting is because in this Chinese system of elements, the elements have a relationship to one another, a constructive or destructive. So if you look at metal, metal is constructive to the Four of Cups, or the metal is constructive to water. So the idea is, when somewhere along the line in Chinese history, somebody noticed that water will collect on a metal surface, condensation, where there's a temperature difference. And so in this, the way this works is metal creates water. In here, it's like I have enough. I'm not necessarily wanting more. And so the Knight of Cups, well, in the consolidation position, I mean, he looks like he's ready to pour. It's like, you want any more? You know, he's tipping the jug. um, so if we think, though, of condensation as being because a metal is going to be cold, you know, and cold being elementally in chemistry, physics, the stillness, consolidation of the elements, it being colder. So it might be freezing out the Knight of Cups, freezing out the Knight of Cups, and I can think of somebody for whom that would be appropriate. So it could be that. And being clear on not wanting anything else from that jug specifically. So in this position, I could see this actually, you know, a lot of times the Queen of Cups has a closed cup. So I would see this as kind of reversed also. Not looking, just like this is saying, not looking for anything more. Not looking for a Knight of Cups. Not putting a lid on it. Putting a lid on this very healthy looking jug. By the same token, if you think of the Knight of Cups as a quote-unquote water boy, because he is, I mean, he's got that tipped like that, and it's as though he's going and he's dipping something and he's delivering. That's his Knight of Cups. His Knight of Cups. And I've never thought of the Knight of Cups as like an evangelist or something, but and I'm not seeing that here as an evangelist necessarily, but as somebody who's bringing a resource, somebody who will go out and get a resource and bring it to you. So as a helper, which, you know, normally we think of the knights, at least I do, as more independent and kind of having their own motivations for doing things. And we think of the pages, or again, at least I do, as the errand boys of the deck. But here I feel like he could be serving in that capacity. And so this could be kind of similar to this. This is in the more shamanic realm. To me, this would be more in the practical realm. Consolidating my helpers. Also in terms of this, you know, having my list of helpers, understanding who my helpers are, what their phone number is, how I can help them help me. All of that needs to come together. I need to start focusing on that. That could refer to the rehoming of one of my dogs. I've connected to a wonderful rescue organization, bless all of their souls, and really super, doing exactly what makes me comfortable, letting this dog go to a new home. And so, you know, they're doing that. So that is literally coming together and consolidating kind of as we speak. So that's, so it could refer specifically to that, or to that activity more generally in my life, in terms of finding locating who it is who can best help me rise above my current circumstances and move on and put myself in a better position, kind of for the rest of my life, essentially. So it took some talking to get there with this deck, and sorry, I get absorbed by the cards and I'm not paying attention to what's showing up. um, but I will say this, I kind of like the cards well enough that I don't mind sitting with them and talking about them. You know, with a deck that I liked less, um, I would probably think of this as putting the deck in a well maybe category. You know, maybe it stays, maybe it goes, but that's not the feeling I get. Again, I like the deck, I like the images. Plus, it's interesting to me that it's hitting on like the shamanic and the emotional and some things that are actually, you know, this, I think, emotional too, and things that are kind of practical in nature. So I like how it, even though it's taken me some thinking to get there, how it's hitting on quite various aspects of my life, all of which are kind of prominent right now. And it's including things that are really immediate as well as the, the future. You know, to me, these are things that are a little bit more about the future here. And these things are potentially more immediate. There are aspects of this that are more immediate as well. But so again, I'm still, I feel like it passes the test. It's not as easy a reader as I think if I had done this with a standard Rider-Waite-Smith, I probably would have come to conclusions more quickly. But there are some things that have come out that I'm not sure I would have gotten if I was looking at the standard Rider-Waite-Smith, which is part of the reason we get different decks, right? Is because sometimes they kind of they put a different slant on things. So I look forward to continuing to use this deck throughout the month. I do suspect it will be a deck that I pull out on occasion. You know, it's not going to it's not going to be the first deck I grab. I think the first deck I grab and just I want to know something, and I want straight, quick answers. Is probably going to be a standard Rider-Waite-Smith deck of whatever version. But having worked with it some already, and I'm hoping as I go throughout the month, I will be more inclined. Like I've been afraid to use it, like afraid to face. This was my assumption that I won't connect with it, that it won't be direct enough or whatever. It won't give me the information I need. And I think that I don't need to be afraid of that anymore. I'm thinking because this sort of happened with the Greenwood Tarot, that as I worked with it throughout the month, the messages became clearer and clearer. And so I was just thinking about that. And then I was thinking, I really wonder how this deck would get along with the Greenwood. That would be a curious pairing. But I don't think I'm going to go that route. I think that's a little bit ambitious. I think I need to get to know actually both of the decks, because the last time I pulled out the Greenwood, it's like I was starting to get so clear on this deck, and then I haven't used it for a few months, and now it's like getting opaque on me again. So some of these decks I need to spend some time with and enjoy it. I mean, I think that there's a gift to having these kinds of decks in one's collection, you know, because the interest and the mystery is kind of always there in terms of rediscovering, um, reading with the deck, and yeah, so that we don't get bored and buy other decks we don't need, because really we've got some excellent mysteries right on our shelves. Things that need further exploration and refamiliarization and use. So, like I said, it's good to have some of those decks on the shelf as well. So I am calling it done for this reading, and I'll have to think about what else I'm going to use this for. What other experiment? Doing this spread with each deck of the month is kind of a no-brainer, and the 9-card spread, because those are things that I like to do. But I'll have to run through my decks, my spreads, and just see what else I want to give it a try for. All right, everybody, take care.